My name is Daniel Uba, Head of Compliance Flowlease. In this video, I'll be explaining the common mistakes organizations have made when appointing a data protection officer. The Nigeria Data Protection Act makes it mandatory for organizations to designate a staff as the data protection officer. However, from research conducted, staff nominated from IT, legal, and compliance make better data protection officer. And it's also good to emphasize that appointing one data protection officer may not be the best practice. The employee nominated might be on leave when you have a cyber attack or a data breach. That can create a vacuum. So the best practice is to look at the organization organogram, allow every department nominate someone to fit into that data protection team. So an organization that has like 10 to 15 departments should have 10 to 15 people forming the data protection team. So you have a staff from IT, you have a staff from legal, you have a staff from compliance, you have a staff from customer care. All these people come together and advise management on the best practices management should adopt and implement. So when a staff is not on seat, the organization keeps with the data protection requirement. And this data protection officer role can be rotated to have healthy competition. A typical instance could be if IT have been handling data protection, move it to legal. Legal department will want to outshine IT and will put in their best. Because of that healthy competition, everybody will want to bring something to the table to make sure the organization remains compliant. So this is something every organization should try to implement to ensure the data they collect from their customers and employees remains secured and safe. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's training session. We'll be talking cybersecurity as it affects the Chief Information Security Officer job role. My name is Daniel Uba, and I'll be your host today. Just recently, a big fintech, Flutterwave, reported a loss of 11 billion naira due to a data security breach. That should give us reason to appreciate today's training, because we will delve into how the Chief Information Security Officer can gain the necessary knowledge and skills required to be effective. And also, we'll look at the incident response policy and procedures, which will help organizations address security challenges. So let's get started. So based on the cybersecurity framework, within 3 years of appointment of a Chief Information Security Officer, the staff is expected to attain a certification that is relevant in cybersecurity. There are 3 certifications which the central bank have said to be required for you to be a Chief Information Security Officer for your financial institution. One of which is the Certified Information System Security Professional Certification. We also have the Certified Information Security Manager, and we have the Certified Chief Information Security Officer. So we'll be looking at all this certification and exploring the career path. So just as I said, we have 3 certifications that the Central Bank of Nigeria has adopted based on the framework. So we'll look at the CISSP. Now, the CISSP is the most common and the most widely accepted out of all the certification. The exam fee for the CISSP range between $749 to $948, depending on the training institution that you've registered with, because every training institution charge fees for this exam. This fee is not inclusive of the training. This is just the exam fee. And the exam format, it's usually a multi-choice question with advanced innovative item like drag and drop options. And the total questions range between 125 to 175 questions. So for you to be able to attain this CISSP certification, you must score at least 700 points out of the 1000 points which the exam has. And you will have 4 hours to take this exam. So let us look at the course content for the CISSP certification. Now, we have different uh, domains in the CISSP certification. We have the security and risk management. We also have the asset security aspect. We also have the security engineering aspect. And we also have the communications and network security aspect. We also have the identity and access management aspect of the certification. We also have security assessment and testing. We also have the security operation, and we have the software development security. So when you are taking this CISSP, there are frequently asked questions I know you will have. So what we've done is to look at those frequently asked questions and address those questions so you can start your journey. Just as I said earlier, for you to attain that role as a CISO, you have to have the necessary skills. And the CBN risk-based framework was issued in 2022. So by 2025, it is expected that every CISO is certified. It's either you attain the CISSP, the CISM, or the CCISO. So you can choose to take any of these certifications. These are the 3 approved certifications based on the framework. So now, the CISSP certification is being administered by the International Information System Security Certification Consortium, popularly known as the ISC2. And it's one of the most widely accepted certification for any IT professional. So for you to become certified, you must have at least minimum of 5 years paid working experience in that job role as a IT expert. You must have minimum of 5 years paid work experience, because when you are filling your application form, all this will be requested. And you must at least have worked in an organization that minimum of 2 of those 8 required domains has been part of your day-to-day job schedule. Also, for you to be eligible for the certification, you have to register for the exam through the ISC2 website, which I will share in the course of today's training. And you should be able to score a minimum of 700 out of the 1000 allotted mark. Now, when you pass the exam, that is one step. You also need to be endorsed by somebody who has taken the course and has also paid all dues, because when you attain the certification, there are annual dues you'll be paying to maintain your certification between $100 and $150, depending on where you registered from. So you also need somebody to certify and endorse your application, and that person must have attained that certification and also have paid all the annual dues as required. So for you to also maintain certification, there are continuous professional education exercises you should also do. You must keep learning, keep developing yourself. So it's not just attaining the certification and keeping it by the side. You have to keep learning, and that's called the continuing professional education credit. So you must attain that credit. Now, this credit is very important for you to be able to renew your certification, because every 3 years you are supposed to renew your CISSP certification. Now, how do you fill out the form? I'm going to share the website with you so you can be able to fill out the form without having any form of issues. But before then, this is what the process looks like. You go to the ISC2 website, which is www.isc2.org. You create an account. It's very easy. You create an account, you update your personal information like your name, email, and you create your password. So once you are logged in, you now select the CISSP certification. So you complete the necessary process, make the necessary payment, and submit your application. So now you may not pass this exam on the first sitting. So there are also provisions for scenarios like that, but it's not difficult if you practice and also have a mentor who has taken this exam to guide you through the ropes. So now, in cases where you don't pass the exam, it's good you know this prior to you taking the exam. You have to wait for 30 days to retake the exam. So there are some training providers that give you option to pay for an insurance if you fail the exam, so you don't need to repay. But some people don't offer that. That's why the price for the exam differs from different learning centers. So if you opt for where there's an insurance, peradventure you don't pass the exam, you will not need to pay. But if that's not the case, you have to retake the exam and pay the exam fee. So it's very important you know that. So when you have issues with the first attempt, you have to wait for 30 days. And if you don't make it, you also need to wait for another 90 days to take the exam again. But to take this exam, these are the rules. It's good you get a mentor who has taken this course, who understands the question format, and who will be able to guide you through the ropes so that you don't need to go through taking the exam the second time. Now, the validity of this exam is for 3 years. So when you take the exam and pass, you will be certified for a 3-year period, after which you'll be required to renew. That is where your CPE, your continuing professional education, now comes to play. So what's the endorsement process in the CISSP? You have 6 months after passing the exam to find somebody to endorse your application. That person is someone who has taken the course before, who understands the nitty-gritty of the course, and who also has paid the annual dues as required for members. So once the person endorses your form, the certification body ISC2 will process your application and issue you your full certification. Now, aside the CISSP, we also have the CISM. But before we go into the CISM, I would like to share some websites that you can also visit to also learn more about this CISSP certification. So one of the sites you can visit is learningtree.com. The beauty about them is that their training and the exam fee is inclusive. So that will cost you around $4,095. So if you look at it, they have a 5-day training course, and what they are charging you will include your certification exam, which is the CISSP exam voucher. So whenever you are trying to take this course, things you should find out is if the training institution offer the exam voucher. So you don't just pay for the course without getting the exam voucher. It's very important you know that, because at the end of the day, it is that certification that will be needed for you to keep on being that CISO for your financial institution, because it's a prerequisite to retain that CISO job portfolio. So you also need to find out if they offer the exam voucher. So it's not just that you've taken the training and you have to still go and pay for the exam voucher. However, there are also other sites that you can get the training cheaper, more affordable with the exam voucher. So in such cases, you can reach out to us to guide you through the ropes. But you can also look at learningtree.com. They charge at a premium, which is 4,095. But there are other places you can get it cheaper and still get the same value. So it now depends on the training institution. So let's go to the CISM, which is the Certified Information Security Manager. Now, the beauty about the CISS is that it has 8 modules or 8 domains. And these 8 domains are things that are very familiar with IT professionals. However, it is expensive compared to other certifications that CBN has required CISOs to attain. So the CISSP is more expensive but widely accepted. It is one of the most accepted IT certification in the world. So that's why when you see someone who has attained CISSP certification, the person is priced high because it's not easy to attain the certification. Aside the cost, the exam is a little bit technical, not difficult if you have someone to guide you through the ropes. And that's the beauty about CISSP. It is widely accepted. So we move on to CISM. CISM is a little bit cheaper. So let's look at the cost. Now, if you are a member of ISACA, I believe you would have heard about ISACA, you would get this course at a discounted fee of $795. So you can see that it is cheaper than CISSP. So if you can't afford the CISSP, you can go for the CISM. But if you are not a member of ISACA, you have to pay $895. You understand? This information is available on ISACA website, which I will also share in the course of the training. So let's look at the course outline. Now, the CISM is a little bit easier because it has 4 domains, which include the information security governance, information security management, which is the second domain, information security program, and incident management. So it has 4 domains, unlike the CISSP that has 8 domains. So imagine you are preparing for an exam that has 4 domains and you are preparing for another one that has 8 domains. So that's it. But it is also one of the recommended certifications that CBN has approved for CISOs to attain within a 3-year period. So if you are looking at cheaper costs, if you are looking at an exam that is not as technical as the CISSP, then the CISM should be your option. Now let's look at the CISM exam. You have 150 questions. So you can see that the number of questions is a little bit less compared to 1,000 questions. So to me, I would say any person who is just starting up should go for the CISM. It's cheaper, easier to pass, less stressful. You have about 4 domains in the CISM. So now it's offered by ISACA. So you can go to isaka.org to learn more about the CISM, right? Good. Then the next one is the Certified Chief Information Security Officer, the CCISO, which is offered by the EC Council. Now, the EC Council has the CCISO. So if you look at the 3 certifications, they are offered by 3 different institutions. So now, this CCISO has 6 domains. So if you compare it to the CISM, it has 2 additional domains. So we move on to the first domain talks about governance and risk management. The second domain talks about information security drivers. The third domain talks about establishing an information security management structure. And the fourth domain talks about laws, regulations, standards as drivers of organizational policy standards and procedures. Then the fifth domain has managing an enterprise information security compliance program. And the sixth domain talks about risk management. So every IT professional has their preference in terms of what they want to learn and what they want to attain. So before you decide to go for any of these certifications, you have to look at which of these domains am I familiar with? Two, how much am I willing to invest? Because to me, I don't see you as spending money, you are investing money, right? So, how much am I willing to invest in my career in cybersecurity and attaining my CISO job role? Because it's a very high profile job to be the CISO of any institution. So, you have to also look at how much you are willing to invest. And again, you also need to look at the ease of the exam. When I started the CISSP, I told you have to attain at least 700 points out of 1,000. And CISM, you have 150 questions. So the difference is much, right? So these are things you need to consider before you embark on any career path as far as attaining your certification. Now, in terms of the CCISO, this is what the fee look like. If you are going to go for the lifeline, right, it will cost you about $3,499. All this information are on EC Council website. So if you are going for the recorded class with exam voucher and opportunity to retake your exam, you will be spending about $1,499. But if you want to go for the most likely the recorded version with limited options, it costs you about $829. So in terms of cost, the CCISO is far cheaper when you compare to the CISSP, right? So it all depends on you. And if you're a member of ISACA, CISM will just be the cheapest option for you. So these are things you need to consider so that you don't make a wrong career choice. You understand? Because between the next few months, based on the cybersecurity framework, it is expected that all CISOs have attained one of these certifications so that your institution will not be exposed to cyber threats and you on your own part would have gained the prerequisite knowledge to retain that job portfolio. So we are going to allow opportunities for questions before I open the cybersecurity framework just to validate what we've been talking about. So if you have any question, you're free to drop it on the chat box while I pull up the cybersecurity framework to validate everything we've talked about so far. We still have the cybersecurity incidents policy to discuss. So keep your questions coming and I will address each of the questions you drop on the comment section. Thank you. Okay, someone is saying, are you sure MFB can afford the cost? Honestly, costs for the certifications are expensive, and that's why I want to validate what we've been saying with the CBN cybersecurity framework. So if you look at the CBN cybersecurity framework, 2.7.4 says that in addition to possession of relevant information security certifications, yeah. In addition, possession of relevant security certification shall be an added advantage. This includes certifications such as the Certified Information System Security Professional (CISSP), Certified Information Security Manager (CISM), and Certified Chief Information Security Officer (CCISO). Consequently, the CISO shall acquire any of these certifications within 3 years from the date of his or her appointment. So you need to make sure that 3 years does not elapse before you start this journey. in attaining your certification, because this is the CBN cybersecurity framework. And if we look at the date it was issued June 29, 2022. It became implementable, right? So by 2025, it's expected that for you to attain that CISO job role, you have at least gained one of the certifications stated in the framework. Okay, someone is saying, what can Flawless do? So what we can do is to find a way to ensure that any person who is interested in getting this certification can get the best discount possible. So we are working with majority of these certification bodies to get a discounted rate. As you are aware, it's a foreign exams. The CISSP is offered by the ISC2. The CISM is offered by ISACA, and the CCISO is offered by the EC Council. So the only way you can get a discounted fee is when you go through somebody who has a partnership agreement with these certification bodies, so that at least it's affordable. And looking at the exchange rate, it is far above the budget of many of the OFIs, way far above the budget. So it will be difficult for any staff to sponsor himself alone without the assistance of their financial institution. But we are working out a, a discounted price that is affordable. Okay, please keep the questions coming before we continue. Keep the questions coming. I'm trying to see. Okay, someone is asking if these responsibilities are under NDPC for DPO. No, that is a little bit different. This is mainly a cybersecurity framework that CBN has issued far back as 2022. But if you are a data protection officer, this will also help you. You understand? Because cybersecurity and data protection are very related. So we are going to go for a quiz section just to be sure that this topic is well understood. The major thing you should get out from this topic is that between June 29, 2022 till 2025, as a CISO, you should attain a certification, either CISSP, either CISM, or CCISO. And before you make a choice, look at the cost, look at the ease of the exam. As you can see, the CISM is very easy to pass. You have just 150 questions compared to the CISSP, and it is cheaper. So you would most likely go for the CISM. You understand? However, the CISSP is widely accepted. So whether you are in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, once you have CISSP, it is seen to be that you are a standard professional. So let's go for the quiz section just to keep us abreast. So what's the full meaning of CISSP? You can drop it on the comment section. What is the full meaning of CISSP? Uh, I've mentioned it severally. Okay, somebody has got it. Somebody has got it. But I want more people to drop their comments so that we are on the same page. Okay, so let's move on. Let me just show the answer. So at least the first thing you should know the full meaning of CISSP. So it is the Certified Information System Security Professional. So the CISSP certification is granted by which body? Who grants the CISSP certification? Which organization grants this certification? Okay, somebody has got it right. No. Okay. So it is the International Information System Security Certification Consortium, or ISC2. It's a US company a non-profit organization, and widely known to be the largest IT security organization, looking at the fact that a lot of professionals get trained by them. So, what are the eligibility requirements for the CISSP certification? What are the eligibility requirements for the CISSP certification? Okay. Okay, someone has tried. Okay, let's save time. So you need to have at least 5 years of full-time work experience in 2 or more of the 8 domains of the ISC2. And you must pass the exam, which is attaining at least 700 out of 1,000 points. And somebody also have to endorse you who has that certification. So you should be aware of that. Somebody has to endorse you. So when you pass the exam, you have 6 months. Within that 6 months, you must get somebody to endorse you. So the CISM certification is offered by who? Who offers the CISM certification? Okay, somebody has got it right. So it's ISACA. ISACA means Information Systems Audit and Control Association. But nowadays they are more referred with the ISACA acronym. So CCISO certification is offered by who? The CCISO certification is offered by who? Okay, EC Council. Correct, correct. So now we are going to go into the incidents response policy and procedure, because earlier on I mentioned the fact that a fintech Flutterwave had a cyber risk that made them lose as high as 11 billion naira. So that should tell you why cybersecurity is very important and how lucrative the career path is. Because having this knowledge will give you opportunities to work with big tech and also be providing value in the tech ecosystem. So one of the key policies that OFIs are expected to have based on the framework is the incident response policy and procedure. So I will go through that policy and give an insight on the relevance and the key things that should be on the policy. If you have one, you can update it. If you don't have one, we'll share it across with all our clients. Okay, so the incident response policy and procedure is very important because it defines how security incidents will be documented when they occur. And this document applies to personnel and third parties that work within that ecosystem. So when you are drafting this policy, there are things that should be in the policy. You have to define some key terms. The reason is not everybody will understand this key term because not everybody that will be having access to this policy will have IT background, because those in account, those in HR, those in customer service are supposed to at least have a copy of your organization incident response policy so that whenever there's a cyber incident, they know who to report it to. They know the reporting channels and they can easily document it. So it's good you have these keywords defined. For the purpose of this training, I won't be explaining the keywords, but this policy will be made available to everyone who has attended this training, but especially those that have engaged us as their consulting firm. So you have to define this keyword. So whoever is reading this policy understands the policy. So what we've done is to do a copy and paste policy that is easy to implement because we understand the skill gap in the sector. So whenever you see somewhere highlighted with yellow, you just insert your company name. That doesn't mean that you cannot improve on this policy. You can always add more to it. You can take some things away. But for you to be able to implement this policy easily, we've highlighted those places that you should insert your company name. So now the scope of the policy typically refers to the objective, which is to ensure consistent and effective approach when it comes to security incident management. So you can detect and report security incidents timely. And you know, with the cybersecurity framework, there are timelines whereby you must document all these things on the Paperlite application. So your incident response policy should be detailed enough to cut across every person that needs to work with the document. So the process, now, there are key process in incident response. You have to be able to detect it. You have to be able to analyze that risk. You also need to contain it, eradicate it, recover any lost data, and have post-incident activities. So all these processes have been well explained. So this place that is highlighted in yellow, that is where you put your information security department support email, where people can report. And don't forget that this document will be one of those working tools for the Information Security Steering Committee because they are to work with the CISO in order to implement this policy. So the policy talks about every action that should be taken at the different stages where incidents are reported, where incidents are detected, so that whoever goes through this policy will know what to do at every point in time. So it's a policy that you should have handy because if you've gone through the cybersecurity framework, incidents must be reported to the Central Bank of Nigeria. And if you look at data protection, you also need to report data breaches to the Nigeria Data Protection Commission within the stipulated time. So for the NDPC, reporting data breach is 72 hours. The CBN is 24 hours. You have to report it. So you have to have a procedure in place so that at any point in time, when a staff detects a breach, their actions that the staff are aware should be taken. One of the key actions will be notifying the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, who now informs the Information Security Steering Committee, and this document now become a working tool for them to be able to capture what happened and report it timely to the Central Bank of Nigeria under the Paperlite application. So you can drop your questions as regards this document. It's very easy to understand and it's something that you should have handy. And what we've done is to make it easy for you to implement. You don't really need to stress yourself and recreating the wheel. It's already documented in a way that you just need to insert your company name and you have your policy handy. So you can drop your questions on the comment section while we address those questions. Okay, someone is asking, how do you become a member of ISACA? Okay, let me just pull up the website of ISACA and guide you through the process. Okay. So if you want to become a member of ISACA, it's simply going to isaca.org. If you go to isaca.org, it will take you to the site where you can now become a member, create your account and everything. So the official site of ISACA is www.isaka.org. So that will give you access to their trainings and all the digital information you need to succeed as a cybersecurity professional. So some of all these websites, you need to bookmark it so that you have them handy. So for Isaka, it is isaca.org. That is isaka.org. So once you come to the site, it's self-explanatory. You don't need to do much. You can log in after you've created your account and make the necessary payment that the Isaka body would require for you to become a member. So this is the news about Flutterwave losing 11 billion in security breach. So that should tell us that we have to be very careful as cybersecurity experts in our various institutions. We have to be vigilant. We have to document any risk and attain those certifications which will expose us to the wealth of knowledge that we need to excel in our job role. So keep the questions coming so that we can be sure that this topic is well understood. We'll also do a recap for those who joined us late so that we can carry them along. Okay, the policies will be made to our clients, and we also have a WhatsApp group where we communicate relevant information. So feel free to join the WhatsApp group. Feel free to join the WhatsApp group so you can get first-hand information about our training. So the next training we'll be looking at will be the risk assessment. So next time we'll be meeting will be in 2 weeks' time. I told you this is a 6 months course. We are breaking it into modules so that it is easy for you to understand and implement. So we'll be looking at risk assessment. As a CISO, how will you assess the risk your financial institution is exposed to from the people aspect, from the process aspect, and your procedure aspect? The people, process, and your technology aspect. You need to look at it. How can I assess the risk? So that will be our next training so that we can be able to pass as much knowledge to every CISO out there and make the ecosystem resilient in terms of cyber risk. Okay, just for recap purpose, there are three certifications that you need as a CISO. You need the CISSP, you need the CISM, and you need the CCISO. You don't need to get all certifications because that will be too much. All you need to do is look at any of the certifications that resonate with your personality because each of them has their own advantage based on the domains. Just as I mentioned, the CISSP has 8 domains. The CISM has 4 domains. So naturally, it is very easy to pass CISM. Whereas the CCISO has 6 domains. Of all the certification, the most widely accepted is the CISSP. So if you are looking at a long-term career path in IT and cybersecurity, you should go for the CISSP. But don't forget, you have to at least pass 700, attain 700 points out of 1,000. So it's not an exam you have to just read and just say, okay, you have to be very detailed before you answer those questions because the answers will look alike. You have to take your time, do diligence, practice with so many demo so that when you go to the exam, not just having the knowledge, but the confidence. So to me, CISSP is what you should be looking at for, but you also need to look at the cost. For the CCISO, it's not as if it's not widely accepted, but it's offered by EC Council. And if you look at EC Council, ISACA, and the ISC2, you definitely know that ISC2 has more reputation than the ISACA and the EC Council. So if you are looking at a full career paths, CISSP is what you should look at for. But when you want to look at ease of passing the exam, go for the CISM. You just need to have one of these certifications, and once you have it, you are good to go. For the CISSP, we have a 3-year period where you need to renew. The exam fee, let me say also talk about the exam fee. The exam fee starts at 749. So if you are buying the exam voucher directly from ISC2, you will pay roughly 749 aside tax and the transactional charges they will charge you for the card. But you also know that there are some challenges with this. Sometimes getting the dollar to pay is difficult. So it's always good you go through people like my company Flowless that already have all these things figured out, so that you can be able to attain the certification easily and faster. Then, if you are paying for this training through training institutions, you know the ISC to have training institutions, they will also charge their own fees. So that's why the exam fee varies from 749 to 948, depending on where you are buying the exam voucher from. As far as the training is concerned, it also differs from different training institutions. You can also self-study and pass this exam if you are meticulous. You can also register for online classes or physical classes if you have a training institutions within your proximity. But the rule of this exam is you have to be very articulate. You have to also be time conscious, considering the fact that you'll be looking at uh, answering 175 questions. You understand? Because the question varies depending on other factors too. So, but the questions will be between 125 to 175, and it's usually multi-choice. You understand? So just have that at the back of your mind. Before you take this exam, it's good you've done so many demos, so you've taken so many quizzes. You understand? So that those questions, when they come out, at least you have that experience, because they are usually technical. Yes, 4 hours for 175 questions, but the passing score is 700 out of 1000 points. Let me correct that. Someone made a mistake. So you have 175 questions, but you must attain at least 700 points. You understand? So we talked about the domains, the 8 domains in the CISSP. So the frequently asked questions, we also address those things. Let me just go to the CISM. Um, for the CISM, which is offered by ISACA, if you're a member of ISACA, you pay $795. If you're not a member, you pay $895. So these are things you should know. And the course outline is focused on 4 domains, which is very easy for you to prepare and pass. You understand? You have 150 questions. You understand? Which is easy, you understand, to walk through. And you have the EC Council providing the CCISO, the Certified Chief Information Security Officer certification. So these are things you should know. Of course, the slides will be shared. Just follow us, and the slides will be shared. But there's still something I would also want the uh, Chief Information Security Officer to be conversant with, and that has to do with the NDPC registration as a data controller of major importance or data processor of major importance. So let me quickly explain that, and we can call today's training a success. I appreciate everyone who has made out time to be on this training. I know how valuable time is, and that's a whole lot. It means a whole lot. So every organization is expected to register with the Nigeria Data Protection Commission as a data controller of major importance or data processor of major importance. And the deadline to do this registration is June 30th. So based on the nature of your business and the number of customer base you have and the kind of data you process, you'll be profiled as either a major data processing ultra high level organization, or a major data processing extra high level organization, or major data processing ordinary high level organization. So I'll make it simple so you don't get confused. For organizations that process up to 5,000 data subject records, you would naturally fall under the ultra high level. However, you also need to look at if you fall under certain sectors like insurance, like telecom, electricity distribution companies, commercial banks. If you operate in that sector, fine. Now, for the microfinance banks, the mortgage banks, you'll be seen as an extra high level because you've already been profiled. You understand? And your fee for registration are all stated on this guidance notice. So for the extra high level, you are supposed to pay 100,000 to the federal government. For the ultra high level, you are supposed to pay 250,000 to the federal government. And for the ordinary high level, you are supposed to pay 10,000, right, to the federal government. So if you want us to assist you with this registration, you can reach out to our team at Flowlist and we'll guide you through the process. All these documents will be shared so that you can keep your organization informed on emerging regulations and be able to give your employees routine trainings as far as compliance and data security is concerned. So thank you everyone who have been on this training. I'll look at the comment section, and if there are relevant questions to be asked, I will address those questions. Okay, someone is saying we should share DOMs. So now we have DOMs to share, but it also depends on when you are taking the exams because these DOMs have validity. It's good you ask this question. So, DOMs are like past questions that look like questions that most likely will come out. But whenever you're taking this exam, you have to look at the timeline because some DOMs may be valid for 3 months. And if you don't take that exam within that period, it's going to be stressful for you now coming back to read another dump. So you have to know the time you want to take this exam so that those dumps you have can be relevant because sometimes all these exams, the curriculum and the pattern of certain questions are changed. You understand? So you need somebody to guide you through. So this video will be available on YouTube and you can have access to it any time of the day. Just as I promised, if you're on our WhatsApp channel, you get first-hand information about what we do, about cybersecurity, about data protection, so you remain conversant with emerging threats. Once again, thank you for joining us and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.